Hey book world, I'm Cam Robinson of Cam Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms, and today we're going to talk about marketing your book through connection images. Connection images are really awesome because it's a way to get your book in front of your fans without seeming pushy or in their face about it, because you actually turn it into a challenge or a game. It's really easy to create a connection image. The first thing you do is sit down, go through your book, and come up with a list of objects or elements that repeatedly pop up throughout your book or represent specific scenes within your book. Once you have your list, go through your house and find these objects. If you don't have them, check with your friends, check with your family, check with your neighbors, or run to the store and see if you can get it. Now don't worry, because you will find that some of these things are not easily accessible, like say your book takes place in a forest. You're not going to drag a tree into your house to take a picture. Instead, you can use objects that represent that particular element. So instead of bringing a tree inside, you would take a plant and use that as a representation of your tree. Once you have all of your items collected, you're going to want to find a solid background to work on. I would recommend either white or black so that you don't take away from the objects in your image. Any textured backgrounds aren't going to work very well because it's going to distract your viewer, and that is not what you want in this image. Arrange your items on your background so that everything is easily seen. You don't want anything overlapping too much so that it hides anything. Now remember, if you're working in low or limited lighting, you're going to want to check out our other videos that have instructions on how to bounce light and work with light so that your images aren't dark. When you're arranging your items, make sure that you leave some blank space, either in the corners or in the center of your image, because you're going to want to add in some words later on to kind of explain to your fans what this is and what you're doing with it. I would also highly recommend using a hashtag for your game within your image. So pick something that works for you in your book and your challenge and run with it. Once you have your image done, it's time to edit it and time to get it out to your fans. Now, the really cool thing about this is that you can use it for your own personal marketing. So you can take your images and put them out there for your fans to see, or you can give it to your book bloggers. So take a couple of items here and a couple of items there and give it to different book bloggers so they all have different unique images, so that your fans are then forced to go to these different blogs to get this different information to understand more about your book. Now the really cool thing about this is that you can use this both before your book is published and after your book is published. If you are working on this before your book comes out, you're going to want to do very specific, very general things. So anything that's related to your book that they will be able to catch on to as they're reading and say, oh, I saw that in the picture before I read this book, that's how it connects, that makes sense. That's a great way to do it. If you are focused on doing this after your book has been published, you're going to want to be a little trickier with this. So you're going to want to dig really deep into your manuscript and find things that aren't quite as obvious, or items that represent the more obvious things, so that it's a challenge for them. Your goal here is to get your fans to go deep into your story, to reread it, to talk with their fellow fans and try to figure out what that connection could possibly be. So you don't want to be super obvious about it. You can give them a couple freebies, that's fine, but you definitely want to go very, very strategic with this so that it makes them get back into the story to figure out what you mean by that connection. Connection images are a great way to market your book, whether your book has yet to come out or it is already out in the world. There are so many options that you can do with this, and it can be an ongoing challenge between you and your fans. It's also a great way to get book bloggers involved. I highly recommend getting connection images involved in your marketing plan for your book. For more information on how to create your own connection images, visit blog.readingtransforms.com. And be sure to check our show notes below. I will post the direct link to this blog post. I'm Cam Robinson of Cam Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms. Stay inspired.